Poolbeg Pharma says it's at the forefront of AI drug discovery after a significant breakthrough in its world first influenza artificial intelligence program. I'm delighted to be joined by the Chief Executive, Dr. Jeremy Skillington. So, Jeremy, that's quite a statement. Talk me through the collaboration with CytoReason and why you're confident about the claim that you've made.
Thank you, Sarah. Yes, quite the claim indeed. But this is something a bit special. This is a bit, it's different and it's important. So we established a collaboration with CytoReason in March of last year, and I think that's important. We're looking at a 15-month time. So you'll see, the amount of work we achieved in a short period of time. But essentially, we had access to human challenge data, human viral challenge data, and essentially that's when volunteers, come into a clinic deliberately infected with influenza virus in this case, and they become sick and recover. And we've got data from all of that, the days of disease progression and recovery. And essentially, that's a huge data set, and it goes from everything from gene expression, transcriptomics, protein expression, and proteomics, viral load, signs, symptoms, medical history, everything. And very difficult, very challenging for a company like Poolbeg to do that in isolation. So this is where we partner up with artificial intelligence leaders such as CytoReason. I think it's important to state that CytoReason are leaders in the field themselves. They've got existing collaborations with the likes of Pfizer, Sanofi, Roche, some of the really big heavy hitters. And of course, Poolbeg, so we'll count ourselves in that category as well. So it's basically taking this huge data set and analyzing it and interpreting it and essentially pulling out what we, from an influenza standpoint, kind of new drug targets, understanding the immune system response to the presence of the virus and how the immune system is reacting to the presence of the virus. So again, 15 months is a very short period of time for, coming up with these, conclusions, these outputs in the collaboration. But I think what's important is nobody else has this data. Nobody else has this challenge data to analyze. So I think this is where Poolbeg is unique. And as I say, partnering with leaders in the field like CytoReason, there's nothing else out there like this. And I think it's the quality of the data comes in, equals the quality of the outputs from the collaboration, and CytoReason did a terrific job. So it's a bit special, this collaboration. We're delighted with the outputs that came from it.
So if no one else has what you have, I'm guessing that this breakthrough has given you a competitive advantage. In fact, who is the competition? Is there any?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, pharma, they're always on the lookout for new and novel drug targets. It's always been said, the industry, when they kind of pivot in different directions, they get the low-hanging fruit, things that are obvious. But of course, they want to kind of innovate and push the boundaries forward and looking for novel targets to build on top of that. So I think particularly our approach, this is just a novel way of taking the data and analyzing it. So what we see coming out the other end is unique in itself. And we've learned a lot from this collaboration. It's an excellent collaboration. I can't speak highly enough of the CytoReason team. They're bioinformaticians, machine learners, they're immunologists, very engaged in the project. And what come out the other end is these novel targets that I guess essentially nobody had associated with influenza infection before. Nobody's looked in that kind of part of the world, let's say, of the gene expression world. And again, it goes back to the data that we have. So now we're particularly looking at the host response, how the body responds to the presence of the virus. As a lot of companies will look at antivirals directly, but we're looking for longer term treatments. That antivirals in particular, they're only effective in the first 48 hours post symptoms. So we're looking for things that are longer. So as I say, many pharmas, it's a good question about competition. And again, as the Poolbeg strategy is we're always interested in partnering. So even though we believe we have a competitive edge, we think that will attract pharma companies to us, because what we have out the other end, they won't have themselves. So we feel like partnering with pharma is always our goal. So we'll be and have outstanding relationships with pharma from our many discussions that are ongoing. So I mean, from that standpoint, we'll be our competitors will be our collaborators, our partners in the future. So again, very excited to be sharing this information with them.
So you've preempted my next question, because I was going to ask you, does all of the above open more or many out licensed doors with one or multiple pharma?
Yeah, no, we said this. We hired a terrific head of business development last year, David English. So we've been having discussions ongoing with pharma. A lot of their inquiries are they're intrigued about the AI approach I mentioned earlier on. As I say, CytoReason are a very reputable company with existing collaborations. So there's always interest in seeing the outputs from this collaboration. So as I say, we've already kind of knocked at the doors, had the early discussions on what was coming down the road, the track. So now we have, as I say, kind of targets and data to discuss, data outputs. And as I say, yes, I mean, that'll kind of open, there's many options for Poolbeg here, our lead program in discussions, but obviously this is a new direction, a new approach. And as I say, influenza is still a very key disease of interest to pharma. They're always trying to crack that nut. And we've said many times that, in a post-pandemic world, post-COVID, I think pharma have pivoted back to looking at infectious diseases as a source of applying their knowledge and technologies, and obviously driving medicines to help patients, and obviously driving markets as well. So we feel there's a lot of opportunity for Poolbeg in that regard. And as I say, with the outputs from CytoReason, there's many options in front of us to take those targets, and whether we'll drive the value initially ourselves, drive the value through partnerships. That's discussions that we're having.
It sounds as though you're best buddies with CytoReason. Without putting a dampener on your enthusiasm, is this the end of the relationship with CytoReason?
That's it's the end of this particular section. I think with regards to us, I mean, it was a terrific collaboration. They were very impressed with the data set that we had. As I said, they have multiple collaborations with existing pharma, but the quality of our data, the cleanliness of our data, the volunteers that we have, is that we have what they're like when they're healthy, then they become sick and recover. So we've got data points all the way along. So we have, as with our relationships with hVIVO, we have access to other challenge data through that our original kind of demerger from hVIVO. So while this is the end of this phase, I mean, there's possibilities in the future. I think we work really well together, and we see what the future holds. And of course, if something happens in that direction, we'll update the markets accordingly.
In the most recent investor update, you said you're exploring the most effective way to further develop the novel drug targets. What does that entail?
Yeah, no, it's a good question as well. I mean, from our standpoint, it's we, as I say, we see value in this. We've just received the targets ourselves, so we're kind of sifting over, looking through, as I say, the outputs and how they kind of play into influenza themselves, and essentially coming up with those kind of next steps around whether it is in-house for development, for validation, or early partnering. And as I say, the discussions with pharma have kind of led us to this path right now, where we'll be sharing the outputs with them, how impressed we're excited about these targets that are coming out. So, and as I say, it'll be those kind of future discussions, see what the best approach is. It's all about driving value for Poolbeg. Again, whether we take this for ourselves, de-risk it, from a short period of time. But I think that pharma, we know, are always looking for new products as their own patents expire, building out their own pipelines. But as I say, we're fortunate that we have these existing relationships with them that we can build upon.
Now, I can't have you in front of me without me asking you about POLB 001, hailed as a potential blockbuster for severe flu, particularly after those positive clinical trial results, which were released in Q1. So what's happening there? Yeah,
so again, that data was terrific. We've said all the way along that having human data is really what gets our pharma colleagues very excited. And we were happy to see the outputs from this study that was done in the Netherlands. Essentially, POLB 001 does what we wanted it to do, which is to block activation of P38 MAP kinase, which we know has significant impact or effects on driving severe influenza. And it did that very potently. We've got an understanding now of the dose that's required for future clinical trials. So yes, we've sharing that data with pharma partners. We've been at numerous various partnering conferences of late, including Bio in Boston of late. And again, as I said, we've got a data room established and parties in the data room reviewing and having discussions around that. Now I think it's important to say that we're aiming for the right partner here, a partner that will kind of fully develop this program, bring it forward into phase 2, phase 3 clinical, and ultimately marketing. So as I say, we're going to be careful. It is our crown jewels, prize assets. So we're going to be very careful with who we partner with there. But we see multiple paths forward here. And as I said, as the validation we've gotten from this human data in the LPS challenge study, it gives us great confidence that they'll be interested here. So again, as I say, we have multiple options of moving those forwards in parallel.
So you were in Boston just a couple of months ago. What was the reaction from not necessarily the Bostonians, but the other people at the conference to the flagship immunomodulator?
Yes, no, it's very good. I mean, Boston, just you know, for the you know, for those you know, listening, watching, is this annual conference where everybody and anybody in the industry comes. You know, in pharma, send armies of business development people. Small biotechs show up to you know, listen to pharma, understand their strategies. But there are, you know, these partnering meetings, these speed dating, they call them, like 30-minute meetings to update you know, the various companies on what you're doing. So yeah, so we had a long list of meetings. We kind of spoke with, and again, it's a continuing dialogue because these are companies we've met at, you know, JP Morgan in January and Bio Europe in March. So it's continuing, and now to have the data in hand is terrific. So yes, they take that back to their scientists, have discussions, and as I said, we have a data room now for enabling due diligence, you know, to dive a little bit deeper. But happy to see the data as good as it was. I think that's the bottom line here, the fact that, you know, if you got ambiguous results, it's obviously, you know, more difficult discussion, but I think it's clean cut data here that we know it blocks P38 MAP kinase. It's potent, it's selective, it's safe, and now we understand the dose to move forward. So these are all box checking for pharma to do. So again, happy with the discussions we're having thus far, and again, diving deeper from a diligence standpoint.
So one more question, if I may, Jeremy. The other news in June, was when shareholders heard about a consortium program to produce a breakthrough oral vaccine funded by the Irish government. So what's happening there?
Yeah, no, we were kind of happy to get to the stage where all of the documentation was signed, sealed, delivered, you know, grant funding essentially beginning. The first step, or the step, is encapsulation. So obviously we go back to the science here that, you know, to give a vaccine orally, you have to protect the cargo from the stomach acids and enzyme, get into the small intestine, and then, you know, dissolve to get into a systemic circulation. So we're beginning that encapsulation process now with a candidate antigen and then adjuvants, and kind of building that forward. So again, a terrific combination of collaborators with ourselves, University College Dublin, Trinity College Dublin, and Anna Biotechnologies to, you know, use all of our expertise and knowledge to bring that forward. So delighted to see that moving, and as I say, just wonderful people to work with. And again, I think back to, you know, when I reflect back, we're coming up to our 2-year IPO anniversary. I think we've accomplished so much in such a short space of time, and again, many programs in parallel moving forward. And I think with the oral vaccines, this will be a one that, as I say, we'll be keeping a close eye on, and partners will be keeping a close eye on, because, you know, there's a big need for oral vaccines for many different diseases, and it aids in the kind of the delivery, the efficacy of the programs, and, you know, global distribution, etc. There's numerous advantages. So very excited for that one to be moving as well, along with the other pipeline programs that we have. Exciting times for the company.
A very, very busy time as well. Dr. Jeremy Skillington, Chief Executive of Poolbeg Pharma. Thank you very much indeed.
Appreciate it, Sarah. Thank you.